You know, even though I thank God for First Lady, and we love each other dearly, but we don't always see eye to eye. We don't always see the same thing because we are different. She's female and I'm male. And in this house, there are 5 of us, and there are 4 males and 1 female. And we don't always understand her, and she doesn't always understand us. And so sometimes we have these clashes. And when I say clash, I don't mean violent clashes, but we have these clashes in terms of beliefs and expression and how things should be done. And that's where we are at, actually. That's where we are at. We want to continue from where we left off last night. That's where we are at, because we have realized that there's a big difference between male and female, the way we see things. Last evening, many of you were sharing your experiences and talking about how you view things. I had started by asking, in fact, we started talking about rape and spousal rape or marital rape. And I asked you the question if you think it should be legal for a man to be charged with the rape of his spouse. And that sparked, a number of things last evening. And we want to continue because these things we need to talk about. These things we can't put under the mat or hide it under the carpet or anything. We need to talk about it. Our children are talking about it in school, and I'm talking as far as from as low as primary school. And then you see the agenda of that particular group of people who want to come after our children. And they're doing it from preschool. So we have to educate our children even from preschool. So we want to continue where we left off last evening. And let me just share a quick testimony, though I was telling Pastor Nicola I would share it. I went today, and congratulations to our son Joshua, who graduated today from QRC. And this session, the graduation was supposed to be finished at 4:30, and it finished after 5. And we didn't think we could make it here at all. Our First Lady had to prepare to take over this evening, and of course she wasn't really planning to do this evening, because this evening I am doing the evening sessions. And I'm coming up the road and I'm communicating with her, and about 10 more minutes to go, 10 to 6. And where we were in traffic. We stopped in traffic at 10 to 6. And it was literally impossible to make it here this evening, I tell you. But as we spoke this evening, the goodness of God, don't ask me how he did it. I can't tell you. I can't figure it out. But we got here. We got here about 5 after 6? Just after 6. But we got here. And in my estimation, we were supposed to have been here probably minutes to 7, based on where we were and what the traffic was. But this is the second time I've ever experienced something like this. I don't know. But God is good. Sometimes he holds back the hands of time just for his purpose. God is good. God is good. And can I get an amen from somebody? God is good. And so we want to continue from where we left off last evening. And I want to start off this evening by reading something. You may have heard it already. I think I even shared it here already. But we're going to kick off this evening with this story. It's about a man and a woman, a husband and a wife. They went to dinner, and something is going on. And she came home and she wrote in her diary what happened. And he also wrote in his diary. Let me just clear this right. So this is her diary. This is the entry in her diary. She says, "Tonight, I thought my husband was acting weird. We had made plans to meet at a nice restaurant for dinner. I was shopping with my friends all day long, so I thought he was upset at the fact that I was a bit late, but he made no comment on it. Conversation wasn't flowing, so I suggested that we go somewhere quiet so we could talk. He agreed, but he didn't say much. I asked him what was wrong. He said, nothing. I asked him if it was my fault that he was upset. He said he wasn't upset, that it had nothing to do with me and not to worry about it. On the way home, I told him that I loved him. He smiled slightly and kept driving. I can't explain his behavior. I don't know why he didn't say, love you too. When we got home, I felt as if I had lost him completely, as if he wanted nothing to do with me anymore. He just sat there quietly and watched TV. He continued to seem distant and absent. Finally, with silence all around us, I decided to go to bed. About 15 minutes later, he came to bed, but I still felt that he was distracted and his thoughts were somewhere else. He fell asleep. I cried. I don't know what to do. I'm almost sure that his thoughts are with someone else. My life is a disaster. That was the entry in her diary. Here is the entry in his diary. My motorcycle is not starting. I can't figure out why. Full stop. So you see, there is a basic difference between men and women. And we treat things differently and we read things differently. And that came out very clearly last evening. Somebody said that all men think about is sex, and the only, well, I get from them that they feel sex could fix everything. And some people seem to go down that road. So we want to continue the discussion this evening. Men and women are different. How do we help each other to understand the differences between us? How do we navigate this thing that seems to separate us? Some, and as I heard last night, women say that, or one person I think that said that sex is always on a man's mind. And I think Ella Shalom was trying to explain certain things last night as well. So let's have some discussion again concerning this thing. We started off by talking about rape. Is it right for a woman to withhold herself from a husband? And that question was asked before. Is it right for a woman to withhold herself from her husband? And why would she do so? And why would she in fact do so? And we asked a question last evening, and some people were saying something. I have some thoughts, but I want to hear from you as we continue the discussion. Because if it is that your body is not your own, it belongs to the man, your husband, why is it you're withholding from him that which is his right? The reason why you do that is because you feel that you should at that time. What is it about him? In fact, maybe I should ask the question, what do you want men to do? Because we have more ladies in this family than men. What do you want from the men? What do you want men to know and understand that would make things easier, that would make things better, that would make things, that would create a better environment for you ladies? I want to hear from the ladies first. What is it? Because I remember one man last night said that better he stay by himself based on what he was hearing. And we don't want that. We don't want men to stay by themselves or women to stay by themselves. There's a book called Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus. So like we came from two different places, two different planets. But we are supposed to come together. So ladies, start the ball rolling. Tell us, enlighten us, share with us men. What do you want? What will make things better? What will make things easier? What will make you want to be intimate with your husband or give yourself to him. Because we have young men too who are not yet married, and they would want to know because they would most likely encounter this challenge in the future. And then there are men who are married who have this challenge and don't know what to do. So come, ladies, talk to us men tonight. Let's hear from you. What do you want from the men? What would make things better? What would create a better environment for you to say, here I am, husband, I'm yours?
Okay, Dr. Richards, we have a comment in the chat. Do not give us a reason to distrust you.
Do not give us a reason to distrust you. What does that mean? Okay, what does a man do that makes you distrust him? What, and you, the person who said I don't have to answer it, anyone else, what do men do that make you not want to trust him? And it also says, when you're saying that if you don't trust a man, you can't give yourself to him. Is that what you're saying?
We have a hand up, but before Sister Debbie says anything, another comment is and I think this is in response to your question, being away from the children and focus on us as a couple. Right? So that's probably what women want, right?
Mm-hmm.
Being away from the children and focus on us as a couple. So basically more time. And then another comment is, I do not think it's withholding, but sometimes if you are tired for whatever reason, why is it they cannot be understanding? Example, help out throughout the day, treat me like how it was at the beginning, date me, give me some compliments, support me, call me throughout the day and find out how my day was. The little things that show you care, and all not all about having sex, and also just sitting together and talking, right? Another comment is when given their attention. Right. Dr. Richards, let me also say something here. I guess for every person, it's different in terms of what you want, But I think if really men could be what we will consider considerate. One of the things that women we do, Dr. Richards, we are like energizer bunnies, literally. So you would find that a woman would be able to go to work. That woman will come home and she would do every single thing as if she was home for the whole day. She'll wash, she'll cook, she'll do everything and function effectively. And a man now, and some men, let me just say that I don't think all men are like that. Some men, when they come home, they're tired, they're ready to rest, and they just want something to eat. And, that's it. Sometimes they don't even offer to help or even with the children. And to them, it's okay. But in the mind of a woman now, it's like, can't you help me? And because you're looking at most of the comments in the chat, they're tired. So they're wanting, I think if men could play more of a role in trying to see the needs of the woman, that is, and to help, because one of the things to me, and I'll put it out there, I just cannot stand things being out of order. And I cannot stand things being out of, if I go into the kitchen and I know that I left the kitchen clean, counters wiped down, sink wipe, everything is just clean, and I just come back and I see things in a mess, then what happens. Then I just go into this quiet mode, or sometimes I say, this is ridiculous. You understand? So with everybody, everybody, it's their own thing. But I think basically reading from some of the chats, I think what women are saying is sometimes when men are not active enough in trying to assist, it's a turn off, Dr. Richards. Let me put it that way. They're completely turned off of that husband, and they look at him instead of looking at him with love, they look at him with the opposite of with love, that kind of a thing. So we have Sister Debbie, thank you for allowing me. Somebody said being treated as a partner and friend. Someone says my thoughts exactly. Some people are in agreement. Okay, so Sister Debbie, and after Sister Debbie, we have Elder Gail.
Good night. I jump
Hi.
in first. Good night.
Sorry, Sister Debbie, unmute yourself. Please. I
Yes,
accidentally. Okay.
Okay, so yes, I jump in first. This is not tit for tat, Brother Sheldon, right? But Professor Redas told us a story there. And I recall in last night's study when I think it was Sister, somebody was saying that women need to tell us men, tell us, exactly what we want. But look, you now told us a story there. And she keep asking him all along what happened. And he keeps saying nothing, nothing, nothing. So, we women are so emotional. And then in his diary, he just said, my motorbike. So why he couldn't communicate with his wife and told her what was going on instead of leaving her thinking all kind of thing, right? So as I said last night, it's both ways, right? So not it for tax with Brother Sheldon, right? There's something, what you said in the story. The next thing too, why it is women does withhold. Do you know that women does hold, I want to be careful with my words. Do you know women does hold the body as ransom against men?
Yeah.
But, yes.
And why is that?
Why is that? Because, I have to be careful with my words again. Not all people, right? Depends on how the man will treat them. Women, it come like women that use it as a trump card, that they will use this. If you don't give me what I want, you don't get, I'm not giving it up, right? And eventually the pleasure in it will go out, right? That's why sometimes a man will be so aggressive. It's not a reason, but that's why sometimes a man will be aggressive because what? Last week was payday, the day before payday. You want all rosemary and, and like a kiskadi. The next week is trust week. I have to be begging you and all kind of thing. You understand? So why it can be so right through? And that's two of my points. And the next one is you ask what do we women want? Let me give you a short story. When I was married and everything, now security work, all how it does be, right? So I'm a person that when I reach home, I see the kids and them, their homework. We women does not neglect our duty, husband and wife. And I reach home. Professor, my husband is lie down on the bed with me, sure, going to sleep. And he will actually be on his phone. And I will hear him like a clock in my head. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Oops, she's out. I go and sleep one time, fall asleep very fast, right? So my husband know that. So 2 o'clock in the morning, I will turn and I will get up. And when I get up 2 o'clock in the morning, it's my time. He knows that. So it's not in that situation that happened. I fell asleep because this is normal. 2 o'clock in the morning, I wake up. You understand? And I active. He could turn and tell me, oh, you sleep all night last night, it's my time to sleep. I watch him like, what? I'm not lying to tell you, I turned my back and I cried. I cried because I was so hurt. I cried because we communicated, it's not like you didn't know, it wasn't like something I sprung on you just so you knew how my idols function. So why now all of a sudden now you're saying, oh, you sleep our whole night, now it's my time to sleep and you turn your backs. You understand? Me, Professor, I just want time. If you still tell me, Debbie, I am coming home tonight, and this is our time, give me my time. Time is the hardest thing to give. Give me my time. If our time is to go on the beach and sit down and watch the waves and them rolling, give me my time. I real bad for my time. So that's what I just want. Time.
Time. Okay.
Dr.
Thank you
Richards, we
so
have some
much.
comments. We have some comments. We have some comments in the chat. All right. I do not think with hope. I think I read that one right. When given the attention, another comment being treated as a partner and friend. Someone says maybe it's because he didn't want her to feel that his bike was more important to him. And then another comment says, my husband tells me what a woman's job is, and the list is long. But when I ask, so what is a man's job? He said, work and bring the money. You tell me, is that fair? So we have Elder Gail hand is up, and then Joshua.
Elder Gail.
Okay, good night, everyone. I've not been in the conversation over the past couple of days, but I've been listening to the recording. There are 3 points I want to make. The first one is that women like to be cuddled. And you see, when you lie down on the bed, and all I want you to do is to come and just cuddle and hug up and sleep. Not every time I lie down in the bed and you come and lie down next to me, it means that I want sex. And that is what happens a lot of times with many, many husbands, because you hear people speaking about that. Women love to be cuddled without any agenda coming from the husband. Yeah, that is one. The next one is, if it is that you want your wife to be, how should I say, welcoming in the night time, sometimes it has to start from the morning, you know. With me, it has to start from the morning. So help me do things. Help me do. I always know when my husband in the mood. He'll be real nice, nicer than normal. He will help me do things in the morning. Always very sweet. I could read him like a book. But that's for me. It doesn't mean that it will work that way with every woman, you know. But I believe a woman likes when you start. You see, when you start doing things with them, you have the clothes to wash. You say, okay, darling, I'm gonna start wash the clothes. Or if the person is cooking, you start helping. By night time, they were soft, you know. They are so soft. It isn't funny, you know. That's two. And for something that Brother Elder Sheldon said yesterday, and I think Sister Debbie alluded to that also, and somebody else, it really goes both ways, you know. Both parties must say what's on their mind, because nobody is a mind reader. And he was saying, tell the husbands what you want. And I agree with that. And it is the other way around also is required. Because I always remember in the early stages of my marriage, earlier, my husband used to be real sour. He also be vexed for everything. Never pleasant experience. And I used to be saying, well, what's going on here? You know, and until it was so bad that we had reached a point where I was ready to say, listen, let us call this thing quits. But it was about 2 years into the marriage or something like that, almost less for, you know. Let's just call it quits and go our separate ways. And we had one long conversation. Now, my husband is the only child for his mother. And he remember, he
Hello?
Doc, we lost that. We lost. I
Yeah.
think.
Is she gone?
We lost her.
All right.
She's
still on?
yes,
Yeah.
you're not hearing me?
No. We won't hear you. Go ahead.
just a little bit. We heard everything almost.
Okay. Okay, so I was just speaking about in the early stages of my marriage and my husband thinking that I could read his mind, right? And I said to him, I said, but I can't read your mind. And he said to me, I bring an absence, and here was his issue was. His mother always picked up the clothespin whenever she washed. That was her method. My method was, when I washed, because it was underneath the house, I would leave the clothespin on the line. So whenever I wash, the clothespins are there. You know, that was a problem for him. And he felt that I should have known that. I said, but I wouldn't know that. How would I know that? You didn't tell me that. That's not how I'm accustomed doing things. And remember, and I shouldn't say remember, I was a single woman with a single parent. living on my own for years. So I'm accustomed to doing things my own way, you know. So the point I'm making is there must be communication. I firmly believe in communication because I think from what I've seen, even with my own marriage, communication has really bridged that gap, you know. So whenever there's an issue, I would go on and say, what's the problem? You know, what is the problem? And then it will take a little while before he tells me, but there must be communication. It's the communication that has broken down all those barriers in our marriage and where it is today. You know, we still have our little things sometimes, but it's not as bad as it was in the beginning because we communicated. And I think I heard Minister Jiva alluded to that and a few other persons. So communication is key. We love to be cuddled and help us do things around the house. At least that's for me. And I'll be like putty or butter. That's my
Thank you,
contribution for
Olivia.
now.
Thank you. Joshua?
Right, Dr. Rich. Yes, we have, but one other comment, communication is the key. And someone else says, my husband sends texts and creates the atmosphere before I reach home. Communication is the key. Minister Joshua.
Yes, Dr. Richards. I know based on what Sister Debbie said, I know she said that she did not attempt for that.
I am hardly hearing you.
Are you hearing me?
Yeah, go ahead now.
Yeah, so I'm saying that based on what Sister Debbie said, I know that she said that she didn't want a tit for tat with Elder Sheldon, but I just wanted to attempt to answer the question based on what I think. And she asked why the man did not just see that his motorcycle was giving problems. And from what I think is that there could be two reasons. One, he didn't want to create a problem because if she feels that he's distant and he says, and he doesn't see anything and she keeps asking him what's wrong and he says nothing and then he just said, is he motorcycle? It might create a problem because, you know, that is all you're worrying about and you cannot just tell me that and you have me worried and, you know, all of that. And it's a simple thing and he might just think it's, you know, it's just a motorcycle, they could just tell me. And then it might lead to further problems. It could be that, or the fact that he doesn't think that it's a very important issue because his motorcycle isn't working. It's not a big thing. It's not like he doesn't have money or he's unemployed or something big. It's just, you know, his motorcycle not working. So it doesn't really seem like a problem. Bringing it up not really gonna solve anything. So he just said nothing wrong because, you know, it's not that big an issue. So if the issue was big enough, yeah, he would say, but there are a few issues that men would not bring up because they don't think it's important. So let's say they having, like I said, issues with the motorcycle or just something happened to them that they just don't think is important to say and they ask them and they seem a bit upset and they ask them and they say nothing. It just means that either one, the issue isn't really important. And, you know, that's the thing about women is that when they ask that something's wrong and something is wrong, but you refuse to tell them, then there's a kind of problem because he's hiding it and that kind of thing. But I'm just saying that in the mind, well, what I think or how I think is that if the issue isn't big, there's no reason in bringing it up. So there's nothing wrong. It's either that or it's a problem.
Thank you so much, Joshua. Thank you. You know, it's interesting that Joshua attempted to answer that. I want to agree and disagree a little bit, Joshua. When you said it's not a big thing, it is a big thing. That's what created the problem. It's a big thing because he got totally distracted. But you are correct. And let me tell you, let me attempt to answer because I brought up the scenario. One, this was just to show the difference between men and women in terms of the way they think. And two, we need to understand, and someone said it, was it Elder Sheldon said it, men are fixers. Men like to fix things. We are problem solvers. The man has a problem and he can't fix it, and that is what is taken up in his mind. That is what is taking up his thoughts. It has nothing to do with her. It has nothing to do with his love for her or his relationship with her. Right? It is not, I'm looking at the thing now and I'm seeing a thing. No, Auntie Gail, it's not that the bike is more important. It is taking up his thoughts because he is a fixer and here is a situation that he cannot fix. There are times when my wife says to me something wrong And I had to say to her, you know, I will deal with it because I want to work it out. And he had a problem that he couldn't solve. Not only that, telling her wasn't going to solve the problem because she couldn't fix it. So his solution is he is trying to, it's not that, I understand this, huh? In his mind, he is probably trying to go for all the different scenarios. Could it be this? Could it be that? Could it be that? And that has consumed his mind. And it has nothing to do with his feelings for her. It's just that in the forefront of his mind, there's an issue and he's working on it in his mind. And women have to understand that that's the way men are. And that's one thing we want to get to, because of the fact that we're talking about men trying to understand women, but women also have to try and understand the man. So in his mind, he is taken up with an issue and it has consumed him. He still loves her. He doesn't love her any less anymore. But again, because women think differently and are more emotional, a woman has attached it to an emotional feeling. He is not talking to me because he doesn't love me. So while his own is a practical issue, hers is an emotional issue. And that is where the problem comes in. Now, let me just say, I know hands are up. I know hands are up because I've come back to the screen here. Pastor Nicole, you'll tell me after who hands up. But Elder Gail talked about three things. Women like to be cuddled. And while that is so, men need to understand that. But women also need to understand that men are easily turned on by sight and by touch. And while you are cuddling and feeling all nice, he's getting more and more excited. He is getting turned on. And as far as you're concerned, that is it. You have reached the end of what you require, what you want. But to him, this is the beginning of something. So there must be some kind of compromise. You have to understand, women, what you are doing to the man when he's cuddling. And men, you also have to understand that this does not mean that this is initiating sex. So that's why the communication is important. It is really very important. But I also want to ask another question based on something Elder Gail said. She talked about the fact that a man has to start in the morning. And whilst we understand that, but you're telling me, what about spontaneity? What about right now, I am in the mood? Are you saying to me, because I didn't start in the morning, that's it? Are you telling me because something happened before that, you know, you're totally turned off? And what about being spontaneous? What about something happening now? Yeah, you talk about your husband and yeah, men who are like that, they know what they want, so they start priming you up and preparing you and being nice and all that. That's okay. That's okay for a man to do that because he has to know his wife. The Bible says, dwell with your wife according to knowledge. So if you know your wife likes that and you have to bring her to that place, that's fine. But what about now? Something happening now. Does that rule that out? And then we talk about communication, but a lot of people communicate. And I think the important thing is the type of communication you're talking about. Because a man communication, I want to sing now, yes, girl? And her method of communication is talk to me nice, tell me how lovely I am, how I look, how I smell, all right? So we have to decide on what kind of communication. And a woman has to teach a man, and that's why I asked the question tonight, you know. You have to educate your husband as to what pleases you, what turns you on, what you would like from him, and vice versa. Now, one might say, well, I don't have to know. I know what you want. But it is not always so for men. I'll tell you some men get turned off too. Huh? Men get turned off too. And don't think that all men are the same and all men are alike and this thing, all men just love sex and we're ready for it. It doesn't always work like that. So this thing about a husband and a wife sitting down and talking and communicating is so important. And that is why intervention is important. That is why sometimes a third party is important. That's why premarital counseling also is important, because we talk about all these things. We talk about what happens, what are the expectations, what you should look for, what you should do, how you groom yourself, a number of different things. But we're not going to get into all of that yet. But I think Sister Yanni's hand was up. First Lady, are there any comments?
Yeah, but Elder Sheldon, your mic was unmuted before earlier on. Elder Sheldon, are you on? Well, I know you're on, but his mic was
Yes,
unmuted before, and I think because people were talking, he probably Elder
no,
Sheldon.
no. If my mic was unmuted, probably came on by mistake. I'm just listening. Right.
Yeah, you don't want to get yourself in trouble.
No, because I'm hearing what everybody is saying, right? And I understand. Okay, men do not speak Venusian, right? And right, and Sister Yanni, just give me about 2 minutes, right? Let me just draw something to you with my situation. I remember I told my wife that before we got married, I said, okay, this is the deal we're going to make. Now, I can cook, but I don't like to cook. I really hate cooking with a passion, right? I say, so here is the deal. This is the deal we're going to make. I'm going to do the washing, the cleaning, the ironing. You just do the cooking, right? Now, who know me, right, knows that I am the type of person, you don't have to cook every day for me, right? Whatever it have, I cool with that, right? But like you, Pastor Nicole, I am a neat freak, right? And the other day, my wife told me that, Sheldon, you is a real obsessive compulsive. Because now I like order. I hate to see things out of place, right? And I was showing her something the other day. I say, no, when you have to iron, if I ask you to iron something for me, I would just bring like 2 pieces of something for you, right? But if you bring in something for me to iron to go to church, you go 5 pieces of thing for me to iron, right? And I said, but what kind of thing is that? Right now, I would stand up, right? I would stand up, I would iron it, because when I iron, I hate to see crease in clothes, so I take my time to iron, right? So yes, I understand that the communication must be there, but it works both ways, right? It really works both ways, right? As Dr. Richards, you rightly said, because there are certain things that turn men off also, right? There are certain things that really turn us off, right? And women have to understand is that do not try to make a man into, I shouldn't say a woman, but into what you want him to be, right? Allow the man to be a man, right? And you will get everything from that man. But let me let the other women speak.
Thank you, Elder Sheldon. I think it's Yanni was the next person.
Yes, Dr. Richards. Yanni is the next hand.
Good
Wow.
night, everyone. You want to read first, Pastor Nicole?
No, I think we covered, yeah. Go ahead, sweetie.
Okay. Good night, everyone. So, my thoughts, I think that as Dr. Richards was speaking about the reason that the man's mind might have been consumed, I understood where he was coming from. And I think I want to go out on a limb for the ladies and say that most of us are empathetic in the sense that if you really take your time and express to us what's going on inside of you, we'd be able to understand and kind of step out of ourselves, even if something gets vexed in the moment. Well, at least for me, if somebody says something to me, even if I don't understand it in the moment, I will go and really reflect and try to look at things from the other person's perspective and not just center my emotions in the situation. And I think even if it's not a romantic context, that's like an important skill to develop. So you're not just centralizing what you feel and forgetting that it have another person involved. Because most times when you're having interactions with people, there are your feelings, what going on with you, then there's the other person's feelings and what going on with them. And somehow we have to be able to hear each other and have an exchange where both of us could see what's going on in each other. And then we could not personalize it and we're not left to our own devices to be like, oh, what's going on with you? Because in that situation, we kind of had two valid experiences happening where the man said nothing, like nothing is wrong, quote unquote, but I'm observing you, I know you, I see your body language. So I understand somewhere inside of myself that deception is happening. You are saying nothing, but the evidence is contrary to what you're saying. So now I'm trying to fill in the gap. And in a relationship, you're not supposed to be left to fill in the gap in your own mind, because that specific person could have her own experiences and where her mind went could have been based on her past and all of these different things. Everybody's mind might have go somewhere else, but the point I'm trying to make is your mind will always try to fill in the gap if there isn't communication about what is going on. So as a woman, I shouldn't have to rely on the Holy Spirit to guide me to Dr. Richards, for Dr. Richards to then explain to me, well, he's a fixer and when in reality, I would want my husband or my spouse to be able to say to me what is happening with him. And it also comes down to emotional intelligence, because a lot of men, they might feel something, but not even be able to connect the dots how Dr. Richards did. And I personally feel like that's because socially we do men an injustice from small, boy, don't cry, you can't talk about your feelings. So they never get to develop that part of themselves. But I think it's something that needs to be developed. And he needs to be able to say that to me. Don't just tell me nothing, because that is deceptive. As subtle as it might be, it is not nothing. And I want you to be able to say to me, honestly, in your own words, it's stressing me out that I was doing this thing today. And honestly, my mind going now, and it's not really about you. It's really that, and that would have been an opportunity for more intimacy in the relationship, because then I could understand more about how your mind works. Then in the next situation, you might even have to explain to me, because you just had to say, girl, so and so and so, and I will know, all right, these kind of things is stress him out, and we could move to suit. So I just think communication and empathy specifically, being able to, because it would have people who you would express yourself and they will still be vexed. So we still need that factor of empathy for me to be able to see you, know it's not about me, and for you to see me, and we meet in the middle somehow. That's my contribution.
Thank you. Thank you, Ceciliane. Next person.
We have Elder Gail and Minister Joshua. I don't think we have any comments. Everyone is in agreement with Sister Yenny.
Yeah, I was just about to say that I agree with what she said. Great points. I just want to go back to one thing that Pastor Noel said about spontaneity. Spontaneity is excellent. Excellent. But you see, remember something you said, and which is something that with a man, it's gratification. So you're in the mood. All he thinks about at that point in time is satisfying that need. So a lot of times that I've heard it on the chat here, and I've known of people who have expressed same, you satisfied, but what has happened to me? I haven't reached that peak. So what I'm saying, sometimes the gentleness and the camaraderie which begins from early in the day, it just filters down. It doesn't have to be something that you're doing every minute. But you know, that whole love starts from the morning, you know, and comes all the way down. By the time in the evening, that woman is so ready for that sexual encounter where there will be pleasure for her. So, but I have nothing against spontaneity. As I said, spontaneity is excellent because you know you can't just go by a book all the time. And the second one I'm going back to is something with the man and how he thinks. And I know as women, sometimes when we, like, okay, let me use an example. My husband asked my husband to do something, to fix something. And I find he taking real long to do it. Real long. So I get peeved because, you know, I asked you to do something and you're not doing it. So I decided to go and do it myself. And one day my husband said to me, he said, Gail, you might see me on my phone because he plays a lot of solitaire. He said, but I was sitting on here trying to figure out the best way to do what it is you're asking me to do. But you can't wait. You pick it up on yourself and you do it. I said, but you're taking too long. He said, but you asked me to do it. Let me do it in my own time. And I came to that understanding about my husband. So it's either you do it yourself, if you want it to be done quickly, you know, or just let the man do it in his own time. And because you see, men have a different way of thinking. They like to do things in their own time. Their own time may not be according to our timing, but that's just how it is. And I believe with that man, with that bicycle, with that motorbike, his wife wasn't in his thoughts at all, you know. His wife was nowhere in his thoughts. And sometimes this is men, as I remember once my pastor was saying, men have waffle brain. They can only think about one thing at a time, but a woman has spaghetti brains. So we can do so many different things, but a man has to operate one block at a time. So this is something we have to understand. At least I've come to understand and still trying to understand in some situations, but my contribution.
Thank you so much, Gail. Joshua?
And Dr. Richard, so we have two comments in the chat before Minister Joshua. I think when a couple understands that a marriage is about two people and it's not about me or I, things will work hand in hand. And another comment, sorry to all ladies, but my son doesn't speak whenever there is something wrong. He just shuts down. Minister Joshua.
Yes, Dr. Richard. So I wanted to say something as I was hearing everybody talking, and I realized that the only way to solve this thing is really communication. But really, it is because men and that's what we talk about, what our topic is. Men and women are different, but it's simply because men are too simple for women and women are too complicated for men. And the only way to solve that is to understand or get in each other's heads. That is the only way to understand that. You can't let a woman be a woman and let a man be a man because there's going to be clashes. So what I'm thinking is that men operate off of hearing. You have to say something to a man for him to understand. Women expect men to see and observe because they see and observe. They watch a man, they observe his behavior, they see his patterns, and they say, okay, this is how he's acting, and know exactly what is wrong with him. But for a man, if he sees a woman upset, a woman could come in front in the living room, and she sees the place in a mess, and she vexed. She doesn't say it's because of the living room, she's just angry. And a man comes and talks to her, she's cool. And every single time, she comes in front, she sees the living room in a mess, she doesn't see anything, she just gets mad. And the man is like, why is she upset? And he goes to ask her and nothing. So you expect us to see, okay, well, she was happy all the time and she came in front, she saw the mess in front and in the living room and she's mad. That's what women expect us to do, but we cannot. We are just not like that. We don't see and observe. We operate off of hearing. Women operate off of sight. They see things, they map it in their heads, and they note it down. They take a mental note, and they say, okay, this is how this is. This is how this is. And men need to hear it. That's why when most of the times something is wrong with a man, she sees and observes, and she knows, well, this specific thing will get a man, then I won't do it. But a man, something will get a woman upset, but he will do it every single time, and she'll get vexed, and it's because every time you do this again, I'm mad, and how you don't know this at this point, because we're supposed to see that and observe that, but we can't. So that's what I'm saying. You have to understand, yeah, basically, men have to learn to see and observe, and women need to learn to be more direct.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr.
Dr. Richard,
Thank
that's
you
my
so
son.
much.
I want to tell everybody tonight. That's my son.
Now,
Well said.
now
Because
I see we have come. It's 9:26. First Lady, you saying something?
yes, Dr. Richards, because I think that he said it very well. Men, and I just want to end on that, men need to learn to observe just as women. The men brains, and I'm talking to all the men we have here on tonight, Dr. Richards and Elder Sheldon and so forth. I think sometimes it's kind of scattered. I think you all do not pay attention. That's it. That's it. Thank you, Father. That's what I want to say. Men don't pay attention. That's my contribution.
Okay. There's much more that we can talk about and that we will talk about. I see we've come, it's 9:27. I just want to say a couple of things. When a man says nothing and a woman says nothing, sometimes they mean two different nothings. And I think Elder Sheldon said it last night. When a woman says nothing, it doesn't mean nothing. It can mean a million different things going on there. All right? It means I didn't want to tell you, but plenty going on. One of the things that I tell my wife, and she could tell you, if I ask you what is going on, if I observe, like Sister Yanni said, you ask somebody what is happening and they say nothing, yet their action says differently. And I've said to my wife, if it is something, please don't tell me nothing. Tell me it's something, but I don't want to talk about it. Or we will deal with it another time. Just don't tell me it's nothing, because I'm seeing your action. I'm seeing how you're moving. I'm seeing your facial expression. I'm seeing that. So don't tell me it's nothing. Tell me I don't want to talk about it. I can deal with that. And I guess every couple has to choose their way to deal with issues and conflicts and all of that. The other thing I want to say, and one thing that women need to understand about men, is that men have this place, they call it the man cave, that a man retreats to, where he recuperates, where he catches himself. So when he says nothing, sometimes it's because he goes into his cave. And he doesn't want the woman there. It doesn't mean that I don't love you. It doesn't mean I want to get a divorce. It doesn't mean I want a separation. It means I need to be with me. I am the best company for me right now. I am the only one that understands me, as close as we are. And that man cave, women sometimes push men. What is going on? What happened? And he says nothing. And it is because, leave me, let me sort myself out. And that could have been one of the cases with this scenario with the motorcycle. And I'll tell you something too. Somebody says, well, he could have told her that this is a motorcycle and he can't fix it. Sometimes for a man, just the admission that is a problem that you can't fix, it degrades you, it makes you feel less than. So you don't even want to admit it, so you're working it out in your head. So as far as you're concerned, if she asked me, it's nothing. Nothing means it's not you. That's what nothing means in this case. It's not you. It's nothing about my feelings for you. It's something that I am dealing with. And that is why we have to learn to understand each other. We have to learn to understand. And sometimes we talk about communication, but it goes beyond the communication. At the end of communication is understanding. Because I could communicate with you and I can tell you all that I need to tell you. And if you don't understand, we are still in the same place. So it's more than communication, it's understanding. And we have to come to that place of understanding. There's some things I would want to share with you perhaps tomorrow night concerning this thing called understanding. And that is a big breakdown between men and women, you know. misunderstanding. He says one thing, she takes it to mean something else. She says something, he takes it to mean something else. When she does this, she means that, he thinks that it means something else. And there's no understanding. If I understood what you were going through, if she understood her husband, she would know, hey, look, it's something that maybe I just need to give him time. It's not about me. I just need to give him time. It's not another woman. I just need to give him time. Let him, he's in his man cave right now. And because he's in his man cave, let me not talk with him. It's understanding. And that's what we lack in relationships, understanding. Even non-romantic relationships between friends. People break up because of misunderstanding. So we're going to talk a little bit more about understanding tomorrow evening, because that is the key really to dealing with this issue between men and women. Yes, Auntie Gail, we need quiet time too. We understand that. And that is why I said understanding. Because a man and his wife need to understand each other. I need to know. There are times if I see something with my wife, there are times I wouldn't bother to even ask her. And at times I would approach her because I understand her. There are times when I know, because I understand my wife, I know something is wrong. That's the way she answers me or something. But because I understand, and then she understands me too. And she would know if she understands me, and she knows, and she asks me if something's wrong, and I say nothing. She understands what that means. It's not that I'm lying, but she understands. So it's more than, as I said, communication. At the end of communication is understanding. And if you do not understand, you have not communicated. If the person doesn't understand, you have not communicated. So we talk a little bit more about understanding tomorrow evening. So we have come to the place where we need more time to deal with this. Huh? We need more than 45 minutes, I could tell you, because there's so much more that we have to deal with. But for now, suffer it to be so. God bless you. Have a wonderful night. See you in the morning at 2 a.m. and we pray at 3.